A very good day to our Information Security Management lecturer, Madam Azrahayu. Today, with my teammates, we would like to present about perform the process of risk analysis, which is the second part from chapter 3. Now, let us start our presentation. Before we further with the presentation, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Peter Paul Raj, unlike Devraj, and my matrix number is 01DDT21F1152. And my teammates are Arvind, Satish Kumar, Dineshwaran, and Gavin Charan. So first of all, we will going to see what is risk assessment about. Risk assessment is basically is a systematic process of identifying potential risk or hazards in a particular situation or activity and evaluating their likelihood and potential consequences. The process involves analyzing various factors that could contribute to the occurrence of risk, such as environmental conditions, human behavior, equipment failure, and legal and regulatory compliance. Now we will going to see the steps that involved in the risk assessment process. So the first one will be the hazard identification. The first step is to identify all the potential hazards or risks that could occur in the situation or activity being assessed. This involves examining the environment, people involved, and the equipment and material used. Next, risk analysis. Once the hazards have been identified, the next step is to analyze the risk associated with each hazard. This involves evaluating the likelihood of the hazard occurring and the potential consequences if it does occur. The third one will be risk evaluation. After analyzing the risk associated with each hazard, the risks are then evaluated based on their likelihood and potential consequences. This step helps to prioritize the risk and determine which one require the most attention. The fourth one will be the risk control, which the next step is to develop strategy to control or eliminate the identified risk. This can include implementing safety procedures, using protective equipment, and improving equipment or facilities. And the last one will be risk monitoring and review. So the risk assessment process involves regularly monitoring and reviewing the effectiveness of the risk control strategy in place. This helps to ensure that the risk remain under control, that any new risks are identified and addressed. So that's all for my part. The presentation will continue my teammate, that is Satish Kumar. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I would like to introduce myself, madam, before I start my presentation. My name is Satish Kumar and my metric number is 01DPT212024. A very wonderful good evening, madam. And today I would like to explain about what is risk analysis and about the sign authentication. First of all, what is risk analysis? Risk analysis is a critical component of any effective information security program because it helps organizations understand the potential consequences of security incidents and the likelihood of those incidents occurring. It involves identifying potential threats to information assets, vulnerabilities in the system that could be exploited by attackers, and the potential impact of an attack on the organization's operations, finances, and reputation. Okay. Once risks have been identified, they are typically assessed to determine their likelihood and potential impact, then prioritized based on their level of risk. This helps organizations prioritize security investment and allocate resources to understand the most significant risk. Risk analysis is an ongoing process and should be regularly reviewed and updated to reflect changes in the threat landscape, new vulnerabilities, and changes in organizations' business operation. During risk analysis, organizations need to assess their potential consequences that will risk would materialize. Organization needs to assess the realistic likelihood and determine the level of risk also. Okay, the last part from my side. Signal authentication. Signal authentication is referred to the process of verifying the identifier of the person or entity who signed the document or communication. Digital signatures are often used to authenticate the origin and integrity of digital documents and communications. They provide a way for recipients to verify that the document or communication was sent by the expected sender and that it has not been tampered with any transit. It is important to ensure that message has not been tampered with or forged by an unauthorized party. To ensure that the digital signatures are valid and trustworthy, it is important to verify the identity of the signer. This can be done through various authentication mechanisms, such as requiring the signer to use a digital certificate or smart card that is linked to their identity. The authentication process may also involve the use of biometric data, such as fingerprints or facial recognition, to verify the identity of the signer. In a risk analysis, the potential risk associated with inadequate signer authentication could be identified and evaluated, and appropriate measures could be implemented to mitigate the risk. The digital signatures cannot be forged unless the signer loses control of the private key, such as by divulging it or losing the media or device in which it is contained. And that's all from me, madam. Thank you very much. And the next part will be explained by my teammate, Kevin Chandra.
My name is Kevin Chandra Sudagar and my matrix number is 01DDT21F2060. Now I will talk about message authentication. Message authentication is the process of verifying the integrity and authenticity of a message. It involves using a cryptographic algorithm to generate a digital signature or message authentication code, which is called MAC, that can be attached to the message. The recipient can then use the same algorithm to verify the signature or MAC and ensure that the message has not been altered or tampered with during the transmission. This helps to prevent unauthorized access, database breaches, and other security threats. Message authentication is an important aspect of secure communication. Okay, the sender uses a secret key and MAC algorithm to produce a fixed length MAC value, which is sent along the message. The receiver verifies the integrity of the message by independently calculating the MAC and comparing it to the one sent by the sender. The next one is message integrity. Message integrity refers to the assurance that the message has not been altered or tampered with during the transmission. It ensures the message received by the recipient is same as the one sent by the sender. Message integrity is critical in ensuring the authenticity and reliability of information, especially in sensitive communication such as financial transaction, military communication, and healthcare records. Various techniques such as checksums, digital signatures, and message authentication codes are used to ensure message integrity. The basic premise is a sender wishes to send a message to a receiver and wishes for the integrity of their message to be guaranteed. The sender will calculate the hash on the message and then include the digest with the message. On the other side, the receiver will independently calculate the hash on the message and compare the resulting digest with the digest which was sent with the message. If they are same, then message should have been the same when it was originally sent. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Gavin. Hi, ma'am. I'm Dineshwaran here. My matrix number is 01DDT21F2044. And now I'm going to talk about the difference of the risk analysis, risk assessment, and risk management. Factor from the definition side, for the risk analysis is the identifying potential risks. For the risk assessment, the definition are evaluating and prioritizing the risk. For the risk management, the definition is about the implementing strategies to control or eliminate risks. For focus on risk analysis will be the identification of hazards. For the risk assessment, it will be the evaluating likelihood and consequences. For the risk management, the control and elimination of risks are with the focus. Objective of the risk analysis is to identify potential risks or hazards. For the risk assessment, the objective will be to evaluate and prioritize potential risks or hazards. For risk management, the objective will be to control or eliminate potential risks or hazards. For methodology risk analysis, it will be the examining environment, people, and equipment. For risk assessment, it will be the analyzing risks and evaluating likelihood and consequences. For the risk management, it will be the developing and implementing strategies and monitoring their effectiveness. For the output risk analysis, it will be a list of potential risks of hazards. For risk assessment, it will be a prioritized list of potential risks or hazards and strategies. For risk management, it will be the strategies to control or eliminate potential risks or hazards and ongoing monitoring. For role in decision making, for risk analysis, provides information or informed decision. For risk assessment, it will be the helps to inform decision making. For risk management, ensure effective risk management and informs future decision making. Thank you. That's all from me, ma'am.
Thank you, Dinesh. So now, let me introduce myself. My name is Arvind Analaki Ulakanathan, matrix number 01DDT21F2071. So now, today I am going to talk about risk approaches. There are two types of risk approaches. First is quantitative, then qualitative. So let me talk about quantitative risk assessment. Quantitative risk assessment is a risk assessment method that involves the use of numerical values to evaluate and measure the likelihood and impact of identified risks. It involves statistical and mathematical techniques to analyze the data and to quantify the potential loss or damage associated with the identified risk. Quantitative risk assessment is typically used in situations where there is a need for detailed analysis of the risk involved and where there is sufficient data available to support the analysis. There are three advantages and disadvantages of quantitative risk assessment. Let me go through the advantages first. So, quantitative risk assessment provides a precise estimation of the risk level. Then, second, it helps in decision making with accurate risk analysis. Third, quantifiable risk data facilitates easily communication to stakeholders. Disadvantages: it requires significant data and information which may not always available or reliable. Complex methodology which may be time consuming or costly. Assumption and simplification required may impact the accuracy of the analysis. Now, moving on, we are going to qualitative risk assessment. Moving on, now we are talking about qualitative risk assessment. So, qualitative risk assessment is a risk assessment method that involves the use of subjective judgments to evaluate and measure the likelihood and impact of the identified risk. It is based on the expertise and experience of the risk assessors, who use their knowledge to identify, evaluate, and prioritize the risk. Qualitative risk assessment is typically used in situations where there is a need for a quick and simple analysis of the risk involved and where there may not be sufficient data available to support a more detailed analysis. So you need a quick and a simple analysis of the risk involved. You can use qualitative. If you want detailed and you have many more information and data on the risk that you are going to find out, you may use quantitative. So, three advantages and disadvantages of qualitative risk assessment. So, first is that simpler to perform than quantitative risk assessment. It requires fewer data and information inputs and does not require specialized statistical or mathematical skills. Disadvantages: can be subjective and prone to error in judgment, may not provide an accurate estimation of the risk level, and results may not be easily comparable to other risk analyses. So, as a conclusion, both quantitative and qualitative risk assessment approaches have their own advantages and disadvantages, and the choice of which to use depends on the specific situation and available data. If you have more data, you may go for quantitative, and if you have less data and you need a simple way to find out the risk level, you may use qualitative. A combination of both approaches can be also used to obtain a more comprehensive and detailed risk assessment. So that's all from us. Thank you.